Aloha. Well, been in the nursery business now for a long time. I've had a lot of opportunity over the years to watch plants as they grow into one pot size, develop, and then need to be shifted to the next pot size and the next pot size and the next pot size and so on. That is, watching the transplanting cycles of most material. I've also had a chance to watch watering cycles and fertilizing cycles with most plants. And there's one thing that I have learned that's exceedingly important, and it's to keep your material shifted into larger and larger containers and to keep it fed and watered on steady intervals as the plant needs it. Now, I am well aware there are a lot of novice gardeners that actually are afraid to transplant material. I've seen that one quite commonly, actually. There are also, others out there that don't realize how important this is. I know that I hear people all the time saying, well, I want a bigger plant in a container, so that it's got, so it's more developed, so, I'll get something quicker out of it. Well, that's not really the case. Generally speaking, those plants that are pushed into containers to large size, they're generally stunted by the process. Now, if I had planned a scientific experiment on all this, I don't know if I could have done much better. Accidentally, I ended up here with something that's quite interesting I would like to show. So, right here we have amaryllis in common English. That's a lily from South Africa. In Latin, it's hippocastrum. It's a fairly common ornamental plant. A lot of you probably grow this thing. Ellen loves to grow them, and they make seeds. And she just loves to take the seeds and plant them so she can get more of these lilies. Well, right back here is a 2-gallon bucket that had a seed pod spread into it. It's probably got a date. Let's see here. Yep, that seed was planted on 4/19, okay, that it would be April 2019. So the seed has been in that pot now for just a little bit over a year. And notice there's a slight red color to some of the seedlings, and they're really not very big. Right here is a flat of exactly the same seed that is exactly the same age as the ones in that flower pot. Now you will notice that some of the plants, like this one right here, they're really pretty large. See the comparison. Much, much, much bigger. You'll also notice, if you look, that seedlings on this end of the flat are definitely larger than the seedlings on that end of the flat. And it's quite consistent. They're also larger on this corner than they are going that way. Well, the reason behind this is the one in that flower pot over there in the back, these guys here, had they been transplanted sometime around January or February from the big pot to the individual pots, they would probably look like these right here. And so two things happened here. One, these did not receive the extra dose of fertilizer that these got during the transplanting. Also, these were given more root room. They were dumped out of that pot, spread out on the table, and thrown into individual containers, and it made quite a bit of difference, as you can see. The other thing that happened here is that we have not been watering these containers with a hose. They're getting only the ambient rainfall. Well, we've been getting more rainfall coming in this way and falling past the roof onto this corner of the flat, and less rainfall in the back. In fact, almost nothing in the rear. This particular pot here is bone dry. It's just dry as a cork. thing needs to be watered. See, look at that, huh? Just dry. Now, luckily, this is a South African bulb. It's used to drought conditions, and so it's well adapted to the torturous life that we put it to here. But obviously, it grows so much better if it's been fertilized and transplanted on a decent schedule. Now, I remember showing this to my good friend Joe Hewitt one day when he was over here. He was picking up some plants that I was growing for him, and it just so happened that I had some of those plants were still in the 4-inch pot. Some had been shifted up to 1-gallon pots. Some had made their way into 3 and 5-gallon pots. All right. Well, it was clear right through. The small pots, the plants were small. The big plants, or big pots, the plants were very large. The difference was very significant, yet the age of the plants was identical. There was no difference in the age of the plants, but the size was dramatic, as you can see here. And so the importance of being able to shift your stock up and keeping the stock watered and fertilized on good intervals makes all the difference in the world as far as the results you get. Alrighty, folks. Not much to say there past that. Just make a comment, give me a question if you want to know more about the subject. But in short, keep them shifting upwards. Don't be afraid to transplant. Make sure that you fertilize. Aloha. Hang loose.